the floods that have attacked the city in a period of a month. I don't know whether the microphone does not interfere with your mics. It does. Okay. Let me take this opportunity to greet the members of the media and the members of the public. And good day to all of you. It has been a month since the province of KwaZulu-Natal, our city of eThekwini municipality, experienced the worst floods in recent years, which resulted in hundreds of lives being lost and extensive damage to our infrastructure. We continue to send our sympathies to all victims and families who lost their loved ones in this disaster. As of 9th of May 2022, we can confirm, as the Premier and the MEC for Kaunda have related to these numbers, that we have lost more than 390 people as a result of the floods and 60 people in eThekwini. Our search and rescue units have put efforts and ongoing efforts as part of our efforts to help families to finally find closure during this difficult period. We are aware that there is still a number of families who remain in limbo as they continue to pray for the recovery of their loved ones. These include the Gumbi family in Ushweni, the Hlope family in Gwandengezi, the Mjalose family in Mzinyati, and many other families who were affected. Our teams continue to work tirelessly to ensure that all missing people are found. We want to assure all these families that we are with them during this difficult time, and their pain is our pain, and we put them in our prayers. To date, through the Motsepe Foundation, we have been able to process the burial of 129 people, and we are committed to see this process through so that no one is left behind. Furthermore, the total damage caused by the floods to our infrastructure is estimated to be seated at 3.8 billion rands in eThekwini, excluding human settlements. When it comes to electricity, you'll recall that over 100 power stations were severely affected by the floods, which plunged many parts of our city into darkness. We are pleased to report today that all our power stations are now in good working condition, and electricity services have been fully restored in communities except in areas where there are challenges of cable theft. This morning, we conducted a site visit to Marine Ridge Power Station, which caught fire a few days after the disaster. We must commend our teams that despite the extensive damage that occurred to this power station, we were able to restore electricity supply within a period of a week using a mobile power station, which is part of the mitigation that we have put in place to ensure that our people do access electricity. Therefore, most of the areas that were affected when this fire station caught fire are now receiving electricity without challenges, with a few areas where there may be some cable theft challenges that we have to resolve. When it comes to water services, ladies and gentlemen, we are pleased to report that great progress have been made in restoring water supply in areas where our infrastructure was severely damaged. Broadly, our water supply has improved by the following percentage per region. In the Inner West, water supply has improved from 30% to 80%. In the Outer West region, it has improved from 45% to 70%. Central region from 45% to 72%. In the Southern region, we have improved from 15% to 75% after we've completed repairs on the Umlazi Canal pipeline and Prince Mshieni Hospital pipeline. Supply in the Northern region has steadily improved from 40% to 45% due to interventions we are making in Otongati area. This is one area which has been affected severely in terms of water supply, because our water plant was washed away in that area. The assessment we conducted on our water infrastructure last month revealed that the heavy rains also damaged our water treatment plant in Otongati, which will take approximately 5 to 6 months to repair at an estimated cost of 30 million rands. What we have done here, we sat with our engineering teams, we said to them, yes, through your project plan, you estimate 5 months to 6 months, but we want you to short circuit that period, because it is difficult to live without water. It's unlike electricity. You can live without electricity, but if you don't have water, there's no life, because water is life. However, through the interventions we have made, the people of Otongati will now be able to receive water from their taps at least 4 hours per day by the end of next week. We are working very hard, tirelessly, to ensure that we restore. We put temporal measures which will enable people to access water in that area. In addition, we have already deployed 20 water tankers and started to drill 3 boreholes within the area of Tongat. We are still identifying other boreholes in many areas where there is still water shortages, so that we can commission those boreholes to provide water to our communities. Here at Ward 9, we are aware that water supply is still a big challenge in the Lower Molweni area and Ushweni area, as our road and water infrastructure was destroyed. As an interim measure, we have deployed water tankers in all areas where there are challenges. They are estimated to be 188 water tankers that are circulated, distributed in areas where people are still unable to receive water from our own networks. We have also started to put static tanks and drill boreholes in these areas, so that we can mitigate in the meantime, whilst we have not restored the entire infrastructure that affects the access to water. We can confirm that in this community of Molweni, there are static tanks that we have deployed, and will continue to deploy some static tanks to ascertain that people do access water. In terms of housing or human settlements, with regards to housing, the floods resulted in the damage of 8,000 formal and informal houses in our city. Our top priority is to assist people who are currently in 64 mass care centers, and so far we have identified 3,821 families requiring urgent assistance. Our assistance includes material supply to 3,088 households. When it comes to material supply, we are going to be putting more stringent control, that we are not going to be issuing material vouchers to people who are going to build their houses, to rebuild their houses in flood areas and areas which are dangerous zones. So therefore, the issuing of these vouchers must also be determined by the safe place where people are going to build their own houses. So therefore, we'll be controlling that with the team of human settlement. We are working with National Department of Human Settlements and the Provincial Department. Repairs and rebuilding of 175 houses and 560 temporary residential units that are being constructed by the Department of Human Settlement in our province. Our assistance include those interventions that we have spoken about. We can also confirm that over 60 houses are currently being built in 9 wards, and temporary residential units are being constructed in Molweni, KwaMakhuta, and Inanda, which will soon be handed over to the beneficiaries. I've just visited one transit camp or residential unit, temporary residential unit here in Molweni, and the family is already living in that transit camp. When it comes to the economic impacts that these floods have left us with, Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to indicate that the economic impact of these floods has been severe, as many industries had to cease operation, especially the Southern Basin area, where Toyota, Mondi, and many other big industries are operating. They still have some difficulties, but our teams are working tirelessly to resolve some of the infrastructural challenges. Some of them have already been resolved, and we are expediting the process to ensure that we restore all the services so that these businesses will start protecting the jobs of people who have been working in those firms. Colleagues, based on the preliminary data from the survey we have conducted, the most affected sectors of our economy are manufacturing, with an estimated damage of 431 million rands, agriculture with 12.6 million rands, construction sector with 18 million rands, wholesale and retail with 46 million rands, warehousing and logistics with 33 million rands. We are currently engaging the provincial and national government on what support can be provided to all affected businesses, including SMMEs that have been severely affected. We want to commend our engineering teams for their sterling work in completing remedial work to our strategic and economic routes, particularly the N2, M4, and M7, which were badly damaged. We are pleased that there is now limited access to the port, which allows for the movement of essential goods so that the courts remain operational. In regard to tourism, ladies and gentlemen, since the floods occurred on the week of Good Friday long weekend, the city lost about 30,000 visitors, with a total loss of about 75 million rands to our GDP. To kickstart the tourism sector after the floods and demonstrates our resilience, the city just hosted a successful Africa Travel Indaba 2022, attended by over 3,700 delegates. These events allowed us to showcase the city as the destination of choice to the international buyers. Towards the end, during this weekend, we'll be hosting the international conference on child labor, which will be happening in our Shilf Albert Lutuli International Convention Center. We want to send a message that Durban is now open for business. We are a resilient city, and we have always bounced back after such incidents. As you'll recall that in 2019, in November and December, were affected by floods. They were followed by COVID-19 in 2020. Immediate after that, in 2021, were also affected by the unrest of July. Now we are still having disasters in 2022. But through the resilience of people of eThekwini and the stakeholders, businesses, NGOs, CBOs, and all those who are working with us, we are able to continue to restore services to our communities. In the next few weeks, we'll be embarking on the National Roadshow, a campaign to promote the winter season hospitality packages across the country, which will be headlined by the Holy Birds Durban July Experience, set to take place on July 2 at Greyville Racecourse. Following the opening of the skies in the SADC region, and we'll be taking our winter campaign to other neighboring countries, such as Eswatini and many other countries. This comes after Royal Eswatini Air is due to start flying to King Shaka International Airport from Monday to Saturday, starting from the first week of June. We are also continuing to work with the region's Routes Development Committee to attract more international flights and to enhance intra-Africa trade. This follows the commencement of direct flights on their Airlink route from Harare to Durban, operating 3 times a week from March this year. With all these interventions, we are confident that our tourism sector will bounce back after this disaster. We are continuing to work with all social partners, including businesses, organized labor, and civil society, to ensure that the restoration and rebuilding process is being fast-tracked. We also have the investment projects on hand, which are also continuing, which are intending to create new jobs in the city and also to ensure that our investments are maintained even during this difficult period. With those few words, we wish to thank all of you for your attention. We can now take your questions. Thank you.
Mayor Mxolisi Kaunda from Eyewitness News. When we visited the first community hall, Dinabantu Bakubo, something like that, you spoke about the transit camps which are expected to be given to community members. Do we know if the process has started yet? And if not, when can we expect the process to start? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's Mlondi Khatebe from the SABC TV News. But Mayor, briefly about the incidents that have been reported in the first center that we were at. It seems as if the allegations around people stealing the goods for the people that are kept in halls still continues in eThekwini. Also, the water shortage issue is also basically saying that in some areas, especially Tongat area, they are saying that they haven't seen any water tankers in their area. I can't remember the word, but we were there on Tuesday. Can you tell us more about the water tankers? Because in your statement, you are saying that about 20 water tankers has been deployed in that area. Thank you.
Is there another one? Let's take those two, Mayor.
Thank you very much for your questions, colleagues. Let me start with Ubabu Mabaso on the transitional facilities. I also visited one, so already they are being installed. The family is already in occupancy of such a facility. So therefore, the process is unfolding. So it's happening in different areas, different wards of our municipality. So that process is on track. We must also indicate that the process of issuing material vouchers is also being kickstarted to ensure that those families whom we've identified that there are places where they want to rebuild their houses, we can guarantee that those places are safe, are not the river banks, and are not the flood areas which may also further create disasters in the city. Babu Hatebe, in terms of in all environments, there will always be opportunists, people who identify an opportunity when people are in a crisis mode and when people are still experiencing difficulties. So let us not close the room that those people will do their operate on the name of helping other people, but whilst they are stealing, not helping other people. So we want to ensure our communities that we must work together to identify those culprits, those people who are stealing food parcels, who are stealing material, who are stealing clothes that are supplied to our communities must be arrested. So therefore, we'll rely more on communities to help us with information to identify those people. In nowadays, we live in an environment of technology. Please, when you see the mayor loading food parcels in his house, take a photo. And if you are not afraid of the mayor, go to him and say, Mayor, I'm just helping you, so that as you are packing this food here, you know how many food parcels are you loading in your house. So I just want to assist you. So that video or that camera, that photo, will assist us as an evidence that the mayor have stolen things. If the mayor can't account, where did he or she take those food parcels to, and all of that. So it's very important that we fight against the opportunists who get any space during the period of disasters to steal. But we must commend the volunteers, we must commend NGOs, we must commend CPOs and the private sector who have really lended their hands in terms of ensuring that people do access water, our communities do access food, blankets, and all the material that is required during this difficult period. The areas where there is no water supply, we do have, you know, we record even our water tankers. We can trace them and track them. So we have put trackers in those vehicles, so we know exactly when we are dispatched to leave the depot of water department. You go to another area, we know how much time it will take you to drive to that area, because you can track the vehicle and how much time you have taken going to that area. So if we believe that you have rerouted the water tanker where you were deployed to go and do something, so we investigate that and we'll be charging people who are found doing that, because some of our people they tend to have a temptation of selling water instead of distributing water to needy people. They sell water, so we can't allow that to continue. So we'll have to deal with those issues whenever they present themselves. In Tongat, Babu Hadebe, the water tankers have been there. So if you ask a person, have you seen a water tanker? If it happens that the water tanker was here when you were at the mall, you were not around, then you come and say, I haven't seen a water tanker. So it's something which really we can't be giving ourselves more task to clarify. But it is happening. We've got records. We know how many tankers have been deployed in the area, including SANDF water tankers are also assisting us in that area. So we are helping the community in that regard. But during the intervention process, we also identified that we must commit ourselves as a city in terms of restoring water services to those areas to ensure that there are temporal measures that are put in place. We are working with Umgeni Water, with Tongat Hulet, and many other stakeholders. So we are saying to the community of Tongat, next week, by end of next week, they will start receiving water through their taps, at least in a period of 4 hours. So we'll be able to try and distribute water in that area, because the crisis is huge. But we'll start doing something in terms of ensuring that they start accessing water through their taps. So those are part of short-term interventions which we have put in place. So I think I've responded, Lindy, to all the questions that have been forwarded. Yes, if we can correct you, it's 20,000 that is allocated for the burials, as we have indicated that. It's around 8,700, the material that will be supplied to communities, and that voucher is not transferable. When you are given that voucher, you can't take that voucher and say, I've been willing to build my house in my rural area, so this is an opportune time to take this voucher and go and build my house in the area where I come from. So these vouchers are a deliberate intervention to those whom their houses have been damaged by the floods. So therefore they are directed to address that need, not to allow people to sell the material after they've collected the material of these vouchers. So you can't sell it. Once you are found doing that, you must be arrested, because you are actually saying you were not in need of the voucher, but you want to run a business. So if you want to run a business, go to our business support unit. They'll assist you how to open a business. Thank you.
Any more questions, colleagues?
namhlanje sithatha ithuba njengomasipala ukwazisa umphakathi ukuthi njengoba sekuphela isikhathi esingangenyanga kunalezi ikhukhula ezisivakashilile lapha edolobheni lakithi laseThekwini yini eseyenzakalile. Okokuqala ke ekufanele sikusho ukuthi lezi ikhukhula zishiye umonakalo omkhulu kakhulu ezimpilweni zabantu, emabhizinisini nakwinqala sizinda. Lokhu ke kusho ukuthi kunezikole, nezibhedlela, namakliniki, nezitolo, nemigwaqo ehamba umphakathi ukuze ufinyelele kuzo zonke lezi zikhungo ezihlela impilo yabantu usuku nosuku elimele. Kodwa ke siyazigqaja ukuthi mkhulu umsebenzi osuwenzile esesiwenzile ukubuyisela isimo endaweni ejwayelekile, ikakhulukazi ukulungisa imigwaqo ebekade ivalekile neminye ebekade imbekile kakhulu nama sinkholes. Sakwazi ukulungisa lokho ngokusheshsha, kodwa isekhona eminye imigwaqo nama-bridge amakhulu esingakakwazi ukwavuselela azodinga imali ezinkulu kakhulu. Kanjalo ke futhi azodinga nokuthi izinhlelo zakhona zenziwe ziqine ukwenza ukuthi kungaphinde futhi kwenzeke eminye imonakalo mase sakhiwe lawo ma-bridge kanye nemigwaqo. Siyafisa ke ukudlulisa kakhulu ukukhala kwethu njengobuholi baseThekwini, kakhulukazi kuyo yonke imindeni elahlekelwe izihlobo zayo kulesi sikhathi. Kwaba khona abadlulayo emhlabeni, eminye imindeni isahleli nabantu abangakatholakali namanje imizimba yabo ukuthi bangakuphi. Kodwa ke siyafisa ukusho ukuthi ibalo njengamanje egcine emenyezelwa uNdunankulu no-MEC wakwaCocta zisho ukuthi eThekwini bawu 390 abantu abadlulile emhlabeni ngalezi ikhukhula, mase kuba abantu abahamashumi ayisithupha 60 abangakatholakali kuze kube manje. Imindeni esahleli ingazi ukuthi izokwenza njani kulesi simo. Ngakho ke amathimba ethu okutakula akenza konke okusemandleni ebambisene nazo zonke izinhlaka ukuqinisekisa ukuthi ukutakulwa kwabantu nokubhekwa kwabantu kuyaqhubeka endaweni ezahlukahlukene. Eminye imindeni nje iyasicela namhlanje ukuthi aqhubeke kulethe imishini izokwazi ukuthi ilekelele ekubhekeni abangakatholakali bemndeni. Siyafisa futhi ukusho ukuthi njengomkhandlu weTheku sidlulisa kakhulu ukuzwelana nalemndeni, umndeni wakaGumbi lapha eWushweni, umndeni wakaHlophe kwaNdengezi, umndeni wakaMdlalose waseMzinyathi, neminye imindeni eminingi kakhulu esahleli kulolu sizi lokungazi ukuthi izothatha nehlanganise ini uma ngabe imindeni ingakatholi abathandiweyo bawo. Ngakho ke amathimba ethu azoqhubeka nalomsebenzi esiubalulayo. Siyafisa futhi ukubonga umsebenzi iMotsepe Foundation sibambisene nayo njengomasipala ewenzayo lapha emkhandlweni wakithi ukulekelela imindeni ukuthi ifihle abathandiweyo kubo. Njengamanje imindeni ilinganiselwa ku-129 esikwazile ukuthi ilekeleleke ukuthi ifihle abathandiweyo babo, kanti naleyo engakabafihli sizoqhubeka nayo siyilekelele ukuthi ikwazi ukufihla abathandiweyo babo. Siyafisa ukuthi umonakalo ngokucabangela kwethu nokubheka ngokwenza ama-assessments esiwenzile ulinganiselwa ku-3.8 billion rands umonakalo wenqala sizinda nakho konke okonakele lapha edolobheni lakithi. Kodwa lokhu akukafaki phakathi okumnyango wezezindlu kanye nokunye okonakele kulomnyango. Mase kuza kugesi silinyalelwe izikhungo zethu zokuphehla ugesi ezinganiselwa kweziyikhulu 100 okuyizona ebeyi-affecteke kakhulu ngalama disaster ngalama floods. Siyafisa ke ukusho ukuthi namhlanje ngiye ngahambela elapha eMaran Ridge, ngijabule kakhulu ukuthola ukuthi noma ilimele futhi salimele kodwa sikwazile ukufaka indlela zesikhashana zokuthi ngesikhathi sisazolungisa umonakalo omkhulu kwi-power station yethu kodwa abantu bebeqhubeka bebewuthola ugesi. Ngakho ke indlela lezi sizenzile zesikhashana seyikwazi ukuthi indawo eziningi ebe-affectekile koNagina, koDazinuko, Maran Ridge, koTshela Imnyama and ey'ndaweni ey'fana nakolokhuzana indawo ey'thinta koSanti nakwezinye indawo ebeyithinteka kuleya area se-West. Ngakho ke lo msebenzi sikwazile ukwenza leyo mphakathi sikwazile ukubuyela ugesi, kodwa ukubuyisa kwethu ugesi akusho ukuthi iy'nkinga zikagesi izophela, ngoba kuseney'ndawo esakhinyabeze kakhulu ngenxa yabantu abantshontsha amakhebuli ethu. abantu abawebaya amakhebuli fanele bazi ukuthi benza ukuthi ugesi ungatholakali ngendlela emphakathini. Ngakho ke nakho lokhu kunomthelela manje sesikulungisile obekulinyazwe izikhukhula kodwa abantu basantshontsha amakhebuli ngapha. Kodwa yonke ke lo mphakathi ithintakalayo siyakwazi ukungenelela silekelele siphinde siubuyisele ugesi. Kodwa sinxusa abantshontshayo abame nokweba amakhebuli kagesi ngoba ku-affect impilo zabantu. Mase kuza kwezamanzi siyafisa futhi ukusho ukuthi sesikwazile ukubuyisela amanzi eindaweni eziningi. Mawukhuluma nge-Inner West region sesikwazile ukusuka ku-30% saya ku-80% ukuthi abantu beqale bethola amanzi. Mawukhuluma nge-Outer West region sikwazile ukusuka ku-45% kuya ku-70% abantu sebeyakwazi ukuthola amanzi. Mawukhuluma nge-Central region sikwazile ukusuka ku-45% saya ku-72% abantu sebeyakwazi ukuthola amanzi. Southern region sikwazile ukuthuthukisa ukuhlinzeka kwabantu ngamanzi from 15% to 75%. Lokho kumsebenzi owenziwe ukuthi sikwazile ukungenelela kumlazi Canal Pipeline nePrince Mshiyeni Hospital Pipeline okuyiyona ehlinzeka abantu abaningi ngamanzi kulama areas ase-South koNtsimbini komlazi koFolweni koMakhutha. Supply Northern region nakhona sikwazile ukuthi si-improve nakuba inkinga esenkulu kakhulu kwi-Northern region ikakhulukazi endaweni yasoThongathi sisuke nje ku-40% saya ku-45%. Kuyakukhombisa ke lokhu ukuthi mkhulu umsebenzi efanele siwenze ngokusheshsha ukuvuselela inqala sizinda kuleya ndawo ozosikhosta u-30 million rand esithi uzokwenzeka esikhathini esingango-5 months kuya 6 months kusukela manje. Kodwa ke lo msebenzi sithe konjiniyela bethu abazama ukuphuthumisa singaze sifike ko-5 months abenze konke okusemandleni ukuthi befinyeze isikhathi abantu besheshe bewathole amanzi oThongathi. Kodwa siyajabula-ke ukuthi iy'moto zamanzi siyithumele oThongathi zikhona ziyawusevisa umphakathi wakithi. Kunama-boreholes aseqalile ukusebenza esesiwakhomishinile ukuthi asebenze endaweni yasehamba nathi nakwezinye indawo oThongathi. Kanti futhi kusukela kuthi kuphela isonto elizayo abantu baseThongathi bazobe sebekwazi ukuthi bethola amanzi emapayipini abo at least noma kuthiwa ama-hour nje amane kuphela noma ezobuya nqamuke kodwa azoqala atholakala amanzi ukuthi abantu impilo yabantu iqhubeke phambili ngoba amanzi ayimpilo. Ngaphandle kwamanzi ayikho impilo. Ungaphila ngaphandle kagesi kodwa amanzi akwazi ukuphila ngaphandle kwawo. So ke sicela umphakathi ke usibekezelele ukuthi konke esikwenzayo senza konke okusemandleni ukuvuselela inqala sizinda yethu nokwaletha amanzi abantu bekwazi ukwathola ngendlela ejwayelekile. Kuzokwenzeka lokho kodwa sicela ukunikezwa ithuba nemiphakathi yonke ethintekile ngogesi namanzi. Leyo mphakathi sicela ingamashi ivale imigwaqo. Siyazazi lezo inkinga futhi siyangenelela. Kukhona futhi esikwenzayo ukuthi sivuselele inqala sizinda bekwazi ukuhlinzekwa ngezidingo. Mangabe sikhuluma ngezezindlu izindlu zibalelwa ku-8,000 ezathinteka ngesikhathi selezikhukhula. Kodwa siyafisa futhi ukuqinisekisa ukuthi njengamanje abantu abagcinwe eindaweni zesikhashana emahholo emasontweni nasey'ndaweni eziningi siney'ndawo eziwu-64 la eThekwini ey'gcine umphakathi wakithi. Kulezo indawo sinabantu abawu-3,821 imindeni okuyiyona edinga ukusizakala ngokusheshsha esiqalayo ukungenelela ukuthi siyilekelele. Usizo lethu luzofaka lezi zinto ezilandelayo sesichaze kabanzi ngama-material vouchers azonikezelwa imindeni lapha ko-3,088. Sichaze kabanzi ukuthi khona ezinye izindlu ezivuselelwayo njengoba sikhuluma nje ezilapho ku-175. Ezinye izindlu ebeyishawa ama-floods lawa kwa-2019 zaphinde zathinteka futhi kulama floods sikuwona. Ezinye zaseqale ukulungiswa seziyalungiswa futhi ukuthi zibuyisele esimweni. Ngakho ke indawo zokuhlalisa abantu zesikhashana izolungisela ku-560 temporal residential units azokwazi ukuthi abantu behlale kuona. Siyajabula ukusho ukuthi khona amanye sengiwavakashile lapha emolweni sayifica imindeni sihlezi phakathi kuona esithemba ukuthi ke azoqhubeka akhiwe nakwezinye indawo siyi-identifyile ukuthi imindeni ihlaliswe endaweni ephephile kodwa ibe nalo uphahla kulesi sikhathi. Sibambisene ke nomnyango kazwelonke nomnyango wesifundazwe ukulungiseni konke lokho. Siyafisa ke futhi ukuveza ukuthi endaweni yasemolweni kwaMakhutha eNanda sesiqalileke ukuzakha lezi indawo zokuhlalisa abantu okwesikhashana ukwenzela ukuthi abantu bakithi bekwazi ukuba sendaweni ephephile. Kwezomnotho umnotho uthinteke kakhulu ngoba uma ukhuluma ngomnotho ukhuluma ngenqalasizinda ephakela umnotho, amafemu ikakhulukazi amafemu angapha ngase South Basin kufaka oToyota, oMondi, oSapref, zonke lezo imboni namafemu amaningi akhele le ndawo athinteke kakhulu kulezi ikhukhula kangangokuthi amanye awavaliwe awasebenzi. Ngakho ke senza konke okusemandleni ukuthi abantu bakithi bekwazi ukuthi bebuyelwe imisebenzi yabo, avulwe lawo mafemu, sibuyisela ugesi, sibuyisela amanzi. Ukhona umsebenzi omuhle esiwenzayo uqinisekisa ukuthi azobuyela esimweni ngokujwayelekile. Sifisa ukusho ukuthi mawubheka ngokumkhakha nomkhakha wezomnotho othintekile emkhakheni wezokukhiqiza imanufacturing kubalelwa ku431 million umonakalo wenzeke khona. Emkhakheni wezolimo kubalelwa ku12.6 million. Emkhakheni weze construction ezokwakha kubalelwa ku18 million. Emkhakheni wama wholesale and retail itolo lezi ezinkulu ezihambisa izinto nasebantwini emphakathini wakithi ukudla nezinye impahla kubalelwa ku46 million. La igcina khona impahla kanjalo nasembonini yokuhambisa impahla ziya ezimbonini ezahlukahlukene kubalelwa ku33 million. Ngakho ke siyaqhubeka nokukhulumisana nohulumeni kazwelonke nowesifundazwe uqinisekisa ukuthi luphu usizo esongenelela ngalo labo somabhizinisi bekwazi ukulekeleleka kwenze ukuthi imphakathi ikwazi ukubuyela emsebenzini nemndeni ibe nabantu abazoqhubeka bayondle. Kodwa ke imigwaqo emele kakhulu ebinomonakalo omkhulu lapha edolobheni lakithi, kodwa esijabulayo ukuthi kukhona osekwenziwe ukuyilungisa. uN2 obukade ungahambeki inhlobo kuvale nama container, sakwazi ukulungisa lo monakalo. M4 uM7 so wonke ke lawo ma damages sikwazile ukwalungisa ukuthi impilo nomnotho nempilo zabantu iqhubeke ziye phambili. Emkhakheni wezokuvakasha siyafisa futhi ukubika ukuthi silahlekelwe ama visitor u30,000 ngesikhathi sika Good Friday. Lokhu ukuthi mawusukufaka ngokwemali efanele ngaba ispendile ulungiselwa ku75 million rands efanele ngaba uspendile edolobheni mabevakashile. Kodwa futhi umkhakha wezokuvakasha ukwazile ukukhombisa ukuthi cha uqinile, uyakwazi ukuthi uqhubeke noma isimo sinje. Kodwa nakho sikwazile ukubamba iAfrica Travel Indaba 2022 ebenama delegate awu3700 ngenkulu impumelelo. Sangasho ukuthi ngoba kunama floods eThekwini ngakho awuthathwe lo mcimbi uyiswe kwelinye idolobha, kodwa sikwazile ukuyibamba. Khona nomunye omkhulu ozoqala ngesonto okhuluma nge-child labor ozobuhanjelwa amazwe ahlukahlukene nabomongameli abahlukahlukene nominister abahlukahlukene. Uzobukhona futhi lapha eThekwini okhombisa ukuthi siyidolobha elikwaziyo ukuthi noma izimo zinzima kodwa liqhubeke impilo yabantu bakithi iye phambili, kakhulukazi umnotho okuyiwona ekufanele wondle nemndeni eqashiwe kulamabhizinisi naseyindaweni nabenza amabhizinisi abo. Siyafisa ke futhi ukusho ukuthi uyeza noma kanjani uDurban July. Baningi kade besibuza ukuthi kwenzakalani ngoDurban July. Uzoba khona futhi lapha edolobheni lakithi eThekwini lapha ya eGreyville race course ngomhla ka2 kuJuly. Njengoba kuthiwa nje uDurban July uHollywood Bets Durban July experience uzoba khona ke mhla ka2. Ingqephi izobe khona. Ngeke sithi abantu abangaswenki ngoba kade kunezikhukhula eThekwini. Abantu bazobe khipe ingqephu yabo kanokusho ngoba uJuly uhamba nezinto ezinjengalezo. Lokho kungasho ukuthi sesikhohliwe imindeni elahlekelwe amalunga ayo njengoba sesibona abantu sebeveza ingqephu. Ingoba idolobha ukuze liphile sithole nathi isingeniso zimali njengomasipala sidinga ukuthi lemicimbi enjengale iqhubeke ngoba ifaka imali emnothweni, amahhotela, kanti igcina nemisebenzi yabantu abasebenza kulamabhizinisi ikwazi ukuqhubeka ikhona. Yingakho mabethi abanye awangabe khona ama-tourism awards lapha eThekwini. Sithe noma kanjani azoba khona ama-tourism awards, sizoqhubeka na ngoba asikwazi ukulahla ithuba lokuthi njengedolobha laseThekwini abantu bekhohle ukuthi siyindawo yokuvakashelwa. So noma kuthiwa kunje kodwa kuhlala emqondweni yabantu ukuthi idolobha laseThekwini indawo evundile yokuthi uvakashele kunendawo ezinhle zobumnandi, nobumnandi nje buyatholakala eThekwini. Kuthiwa mawufuna ubumnandi woze eDurban. So sivala ngelo ukuthi ke muningi umkhankaso esizowenza ukumarket idolobha lethu emazweni esiwakhele lapha kwi-southern continent, southern region kwi-continent yethu, kanjalo nokuqinisekisa ukuthi siyaqhubeka abantu nabomhlaba wonke bewazi ukuthi iTheku kulungele ukuba hosta sebengeze eThekwini ngoba iTheku already ibusiness liyenzeka njengoba sikhuluma. Siyakujabulela ukuthi eSwatini the Royal Eswatini isilungele ukuthi iqale ukuzondizela e-airport yethu King Shaka Airport. Lokhu kuzobe kwenzeka njalo kusukela ngomsombuluko kuya kumgqibelo. Kuzoqala ke lokhu ngesonto lokuqala kuJune. Nakho lokhu kukhombisa idolobha noma kunekhukhula kodwa eliqhubekayo nokuthi umnotho uqhubeke uye phambili. Lawo ma interventions ke sizoqhubeka siwenze uqinisa umnotho wethu. Kafushane ilokho esikubekayo, sinethemba lokuthi i-flight i-airlink iroute yakhona from Harare to Durban izophinda ibuyele emgqeni futhi sibone iba 3 times a week. Bayazi kade besebenzisa le route ka-airlink isizoqhubeka ke futhi nayo ibe khona. Ngalawo mazwi sithanda ukuthi sithi emphakathini waseThekwini sidlulisa ukubonga kakhulu ngokuthi umphathi waseThekwini noma sinezimo ezinzima kanje kodwa uqhubeke uvuselele usilekelele njengomasipala ukuvuselela inqala sizinda, kodwa futhi sizwelana kakhulu nemindeni elahlekelwe amalunga ayo kulesi sikhathi. Siyaqinisekisa kumphakathi ukuthi lapho ugesi ungekho khona namanzi engekho khona senza konke
Colleagues, ngicabanga ukuthi siqedile. Siyabonga kakhulu for your time and your attendance. Abazocela ama one-on-one we will sort them out njengamanje, but siyabonga kakhulu. Thank you so much.